There's no reason for a woman to be walking around with unnatural looking features. Your eyelashes should not be reaching out and touching your forehead when they curl up. What's up, family? I hope you're doing well. I am your host, That Ball Brother, and today we're going back over to We Need to Talk to discuss chemistry versus compatibility. Let's get into it.
Is chemistry or compatibility more important?
Compatibility is more important to me than love. I actually don't even look for love at the beginning, actually, when it comes to relationship. I look for the essence of your being and my being making sense.
Yep.
If it makes sense, then we look for love. Um, compa-
I like that. I like that because you're not gonna if you can't get past the basics, then there's no way because love is a journey, right? You're not gonna find that in 2 days or a week. So it takes a little time for that to develop. I think that he's right that in the beginning you're just looking to get past the fact that can I stand your ass and can you stand me long enough to want to even try to love each other. Are we or do we connect on a level where it's like, okay, I don't mind hanging around with you, you don't mind hanging out with me, and then we go from there. So that's good. Good point.
compatibility to me is important because compatibility requires you understanding me, all of me.
Correct.
One process is understanding all of me, and two, understanding that what you understand about me, does that make sense to you?
Right.
Those are my two parts. So you've probably done a good job of understanding me. Now you have to be honest with yourself. Do I make sense for you?
Correct.
The moment we understand that part, then we talk about love. Until then, I don't have conversations about love typically before understanding compatibility.
Yep. Exactly.
How do you feel about relationship goals and me and somebody's son?
Oh God. top 10 things, top 10 worst things that Black people have ever invented on the internet. And we've invented a lot of good things. The somebody's son concept is not something where it's not like here's how I understand the somebody's son hashtag to be is you
Okay.
take an imagery of this fine ass relationship. You create a list of that relationship and then assume it to be yours. That assumption is deadly.
That sounds like having that Disney complex where you envision a perfect relationship and then you go out trying to make that what you have when you really don't have that, and you delude yourself into believing that you have it when it's not the case. So, but let's dig a little deeper. Let's see.
So I'm not a huge fan of somebody's son. What was the other hashtag again?
Relationship goals.
Relationship goals. I do not aspire to have another person's relationship in any way, shape, or form. I aspire to have mine and what makes sense between me and my partner.
Yes. Okay. Now I get it. Yeah. So you don't you don't look at someone else's relationship and try to be like them because you're not them. You're not the guy. She's not the girl, or whatever your situation is. So aspiring to be like somebody else is tantamount to trying to copy paste, and you can't do that in relationships because what clicks between you and me may not be what clicks between them, right? So like he said, I aspire to be have the best relationship I can have with my partner. That's it. That's all I can aspire to. I can't look at somebody else and say I want to be like them. Now I can admire qualities that they have, their connection level, their closeness, their ability to show affection, little things like that are pretty generic. I can admire that and kind of be like, okay, I would like to have something like that, or I look forward to that kind of thing. Yeah, but I'm not aspiring to be like the Cosbys, for example. I'm dating myself. I know. I don't aspire to be the Huxtables, right? I enjoyed watching their relationship, and some of the qualities that they had, I would like to have in mind, but I don't aspire to be them. So
So it's not because it's not going to be the same.
Do you all really think that this generation of women is worse than the last?
We're not worse, different. It's not worse. It's not worse. It's different. Um, the men that understood the relationships of the past are not the men today.
Right.
So, but it's different because, as I mentioned earlier, what I understood to be a family structure, because what I understand to be a family structure is typically 95% of what I want now. Actually, I take a step back. I'll probably say 80% because I'm trying to fine tune some things. But typically, what I've grown up to have is what I typically want.
Correct.
In a new relationship, give or take, right?
Or better than.
But the person in this imagery is not the woman in real life because women have changed. So that difference needs to be analyzed. I don't know if it's a situation of specific relationships, or is this a conversation that can happen overall as, actually, I know the answer to that. It's a conversation that we need to understand as Black people in general. But not for me. My short answer to that, if I need to elaborate, I can, but my short answer to that is no. It's just different. And it's awkwardly different.
Awkwardly.
Because it's not good or bad. It's just something that's not as easily. We're trying to unlearn, and relearn in a very short amount of time with no role models to get this and new information from. We're literally inventing shit from scratch. And I don't think we understand how crazy that thing is. We're inventing new ways of relationships. We're accepting different structures of relationships.
True.
So because of that difference, it's a matter of really sitting down and saying, these changes that are happening, does it really make sense for us today?
Yeah. So again, dating myself, going back to traditional old school relationships where you were courting people, where you met, where you didn't have the internet as a fish ocean to look for women. You only had to look at women that were in your community, in your neighborhood sometimes. So your social circle was only as far as you could get on your bike or in your car, that kind of thing. Nowadays, you can have chit chats with folks all across the world in the Congo, and never be anywhere near them, but you could see them on camera and see them in person, just like you were standing next to them. So the dynamics of, I think technology is to blame for the dynamics changing in relationships. It's a gift and a curse, in my opinion. I think technology has made us a more distanced society than we were before. Communication is nowhere near what it used to be between men and women. It's very hard to have a conversation with someone who's always in their phone. There was a time when all you had was conversations. Most people, young folk today, don't even know what it means to function without a phone. They don't even want to hear about the times where a phone only did one thing. You make calls on it. That's it. There was no Instagram, no social media, no checking your email. If you pick that phone up, you better have a number to dial. Otherwise, put the phone up.
So yeah, not worse, just different.
Are men intimidated by women who make more money than them?
I'm not, personally.
I think that's a belief that women have. Guys don't care about that. I think, okay, let me correct that. Guys only care about that being an issue if you having more money affects your personality and your attitude. If you walking around like you the shit and you above everybody else because you're making all kind of crazy money, then that comes across wrong. So it's not about your money. It's about how your money is affecting your personality. The same way you meet a guy who's rich and who's an asshole, he's an asshole, right? So no one wants to meet a woman who's an asshole, beyond, because of her money, because you're making all kind of crazy money. You're just being disrespectful and just talking any kind of way and acting any kind of way. Yeah, that could be a turnoff, but it's not because of our concern with the money. It's our concern of how the money's affecting you.
My money's my money.
Is that because you feel financially secure?
Exactly. That's exactly why. If I'm worrying about my bank account, I don't give a fuck about her bank account. But I kind of do, low key. Because we don't know the answer to what needs to be done with her quote unquote bank account. So in my opinion, the way I think about that answer is, worried about how Black women make money?
And the answer is no. Exactly.
I honestly wish you. But I want you to make. I want to see more Black female millionaires and billionaires.
Yes.
It's necessary. But are you talking specifically in a relationship, or are you just talking in general? Like, okay, am I worried about just a Black woman making more money than me in general?
In a relationship.
In a relationship, that's what you should have said. Specifically in a relationship. Of course, it's cool. In a relationship, do I care? If we both make over $200,000, I don't think I would care at that point.
If she makes over 200,000,
if we both make over 200, I don't think.
Oh, together. If the income's together.
No, separately. If she makes with whatever she does makes is over 200, and whatever I making is over 200, that number, I don't know. I don't think it's important to me at that point. Less than that, you kind of, because it's not the number, it's about how you're getting it.
What do you mean?
The time and resources you're taking to get it. Because we have to have honest conversations. What type of families are we trying to create? And that's why I don't have a specific answer, because I need to know the type of families we're creating to know that, okay, if you're doing this thing that's taking a lot of your time and resources to make this amount of money, we're talking about this type of family that requires time and attention, then we have a conflict.
Gotcha. So what he's saying is, okay, so if it's under $200,000, he has concern because he's trying to figure out how we can have a family. If that's your goal, have a family. How can she be part of the family unit and raise the kids, rear the kids, that kind of thing, if she is always busy out making her money? Now, I'm going to push back on that basically and say that I believe that women have the ability to do both. My mother, for example, was a full-time worker and a mom. So she raised us as well as my father was not a very, he was a very matter-of-fact type dude. He just worked and came home. He didn't really do a lot of fatherly things like that. My mother was there more than him. No shade against him, love him to death, but that's just the kind of family structure that was at the time that I was born. So it's possible women are able to do both. I think I would say if you're in the $200,000 range, that may be a cause for concern regarding a family, because what she's doing to get that kind of money might affect that. So I would think you have more concern on the higher end versus the lower end. I think the less money you make, the more you can manage both. I think the more money is possible that maybe there's a lot more involved. I would assume involved in trying to get that 200K versus 100K. But again, that's my opinion.
So it's not the money, but the time and resources you're taking to get there, and how it's maybe affecting the time and resources needed for our family to grow. That's the fine line for me. It's not the money. I don't care about the numbers, but I care about what you're doing outside of the family, if what we're trying to do in the family is also important to you.
But if you were to make over 200,000 and she makes less than that, now your time and resources are also being taken away from the family. That dynamic is acceptable to you? You feel like that would work better?
I mean, I'm going to jump in before he even had a chance to answer. Yeah, because our job is to protect and provide. So if nothing else, if nothing else between the two of us, I have to work more than you. If it comes down to it, I've got to put in more man hours than you do, or work hours than you do, because it's my job to protect and provide. So, I mean, there's no way that scale should tip the other way, where you're working harder than me and working more than me. Unless that's what you want, and you want to be a stay-at-home dad and y'all work that shit out. God bless you. That ain't for me. I've always been someone who tried to protect and provide. Have I always made the best decisions and doing it the right way? No. But that comes with maturity and age. But no, I mean, I definitely think that as a man, your job is to work mostly. Not saying you should neglect your family, but if you're comparing the two, I think the mother does more rearing than the father does. It's just the way that's just the way it is.
What's my responsibility in the family? To make sure the family is okay, right? If I can do it at 9 to 5 and then come back home and do my thing, then I'm doing my thing. That is my traditional male model of how I'm supposed to support my family. And if it's 200K, like, 200K, I mean, if you want to work, that's cool. If I'm making 200K, I'm not expecting my wife to work. It's not, because what are you working for? Is it for finances?
Lifestyle.
It can't be because I'm taking care of that. So what are you doing? Are you working because it's more so like, I mean, if you're a doctor or you have a specialty and whatever the case may be? Okay, I think that's a little different. But 80% of why we do what we do is because of finances. So let's just be honest about that. If you're working because you want to make money and you think that making that money makes you feel better, I'm not looking for that type of woman. I'm looking for a woman who can take care of everything else.
Oh, wow.
I will take care of the finances.
Okay.
Do y'all prefer natural women, body, face, hair, etc.?
Jumping in again, yes. I'll speak for myself, yes. Not that a woman with lace fronts and weave and nails and eyelashes is unappealing. Here is the difference, or the gray, I should say. It's when you do it in excess. There's no reason for a woman to be walking around with unnatural looking features. Your eyelashes should not be reaching out and touching your forehead when they curl up. There's no reason for that. Your nails should not be so long that I'm wondering how you don't scratch your ass wiping yourself. I should not be concerned for your life looking at your fingernails. And all the artificialness and all that kind of, and the weave, the same thing. The biggest concern with the weave, if you're going to get that shit, get it so I can't tell that it's a weave. I should not know that there's lace fronts. It should be done very well. If I can look at you and be like, yo, why do I see that faux hairline? That's a problem. So I prefer natural women all day. But if you got your shit together on the other side of it and you're an unnatural woman per se, and you got your shit together, we can have a conversation.
No, the reason why I don't want to elaborate, because it's just that simple. I don't want a woman that's not, I want it to be natural. Everything natural. That's my,
Your preference.
because if I'm okay, so here is the technicality of that. Is you're talking about in a relationship, or is this as just you existing on my end?
Everything's a relationship, brother. Everything's a relationship.
In terms of physical attraction.
Yes.
I'm attracted to, for the most part, naturally natural women, I would say. No other stuff, if that makes sense.
Okay.
For the most part. Keep that in mind.
Why is it so hard for you all to be honest and transparent about your intentions?
About our intentions for a relationship?
About your intentions. If you intend to be physically involved with a lady, why is it so hard for you to be open and honest about that? Or if your intentions are to be more than that, romantically involved, why is it so hard for you to be honest about whatever your intentions are?
So, one of the problems I've had personally, this is just me, personal conversation, is that historically speaking, I have been in a position where we end up being at two different places.
Yep. That happens.
It's not how it starts, but how it's kind of going after a year or so. It's, hey, I'm on this level. Why aren't you here? Or you realize at a certain time that you're dating a woman who practically, to long story short, you fit some type of model in her head of what she needs for herself.
Mm.
Versus taking you for who you are and deciding her compatibility to you.
Okay.
What typically then happens is, okay, you fit 80% of me, that 20%, let's change it. Change is not the problem, but the change has to be with the person and how it makes sense to your conscience and how it makes sense to your story. You can't change a person because you want them to be a certain way.
Right.
You demand a change because it makes them better, and if they're better, you're better. And I found it difficult sometimes to meet women where I don't feel myself versus playing a role in her life. And that's why it's a little difficult for me to be open.
That's interesting what he's saying as far as um, someone having you fit in their model, in their box, and they want to change you. Well, first of all, he's right. You can't change people. No one's going to change. I mean, they can fake the funk, and then eventually the facade falls off. Um, I speak from experience on that. I've been down that road, made plenty of mistakes trying to be something I wasn't, and learned the hard way that you end up doing more damage than you were, which you had you just gone ahead and been honest and up in the front. Um, I think it comes down to what you're willing to tolerate too, right? Because you meet people and let's go with the 80-20 rule. So this woman that I meet is 80% what I like and has some 20% issues. Is that 20% enough for me to deal break and say, I can't do this? Or is it 20% enough for me to stick around? But like, I can push through that. We can work around that, or I can work with her to better that. Because again, you can't change anyone, but you can definitely encourage. You can definitely, because when you're in a relationship, you're all about growth and getting and evolving, right? So I would expect her to point out my shortcomings and say, "Well, Chris, you need to do X, Y, and Z," and then in return, I do the same for her. So I wouldn't be. I would expect that. But shout out to We Need to Talk for another great video. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please smash the like button. Don't forget to share. Leave me comments below. Let me know your thoughts about the conversation. And until next time, be well.